Let's have a look at this exam-style question. Within a population of bacteria, not all bacterial cells will contain plasmids. Which of the following is most likely reason for this? Tick one box. And here are the statements. Plasmids are very large. Some bacterial cells have no room. Or, plasmids are energetically expensive to make. Or, plasmids have no useful function in a bacterium. Or, the DNA in the cell does exactly the same job as the plasmid. The question is asking which statement is most likely to explain why not all bacterial cells have plasmids. Interestingly, the term most likely is used in the question because you need to use your understanding of the structure of bacterial cells, and in particular plasmids, to decide which statement is indeed the most likely explanation. You might not have been taught the reason why some bacteria do have plasmids and some don't, but you should have learned a little bit about the structure and function of plasmids, and this will allow you to be able to answer the question. Before we go on to exploring the statements, let's just remind ourselves of what a plasmid is and what it does. A plasmid is a piece of small circular DNA found in the cytoplasm of bacterial cells. It is separate from the chromosomal DNA. Remember that bacteria don't have a nucleus, instead they have chromosomal DNA which is free in the cytoplasm. Plasmids often contain DNA which give the bacteria a competitive advantage such as antibiotic resistance, and they also allow bacterial cells to move genes from one cell to another. Now let's have a look at the statements in the question. The first says, plasmids are very large and some bacterial cells have no room. Now, from the diagram of bacterial cells, you should probably recall that plasmids are actually quite small in comparison to the rest of the components within the cell, so this one is certainly not true. The second statement says, plasmids are energetically expensive to make. Let's have a think about what that means. Energetically expensive. This is actually meaning that the bacteria has to use a lot of energy to make a plasmid. So maybe some bacteria don't make them unless they have to in order to survive. Now, I'm going to admit at this point, I don't actually know if this is true, but based on my knowledge and understanding of plasmids, I think that it's quite possible that this could be an explanation for why some bacteria don't have plasmids. The third statement is plasmids have no useful function in a bacterium. We know this is not true. As we've already mentioned, one of the benefits of plasmids is that they can give bacteria a competitive advantage by providing antibiotic resistance. The last statement says, the DNA in the cell does exactly the same job as the plasmid. Now this is also unlikely to be true because the chromosomal DNA in a bacterium is much larger and contains far more DNA and genes than a plasmid. The chromosomal DNA controls all the activities within the bacterial cell, whereas the plasmid does not. Now, as with any multiple choice question, don't panic if you read a statement and you don't know whether it's true or false, according to the question. Sometimes you just need to stop and think about what you know already, and you can also use a process of elimination to help you. So in this example, I think the most likely option is plasmids are energetically expensive to make. So I shall just choose my pen and give that one a tick. And that would be 1 mark. Remember, the question does say quite clearly, tick one box. So you must only tick one box to get that mark.